Welcome into the Ringerverse. This is, of course, the Ringers Nexus podcast feed for all things fandom. We are Jomi, the explainer, Adeniran. You've got questions, he's got answers. We are Steve, the architect, Ahlman, the builder and tinkerer of things. We are Old Man Van, he of the receding, resurgent hairline. We are Coke, Baby, Chuck, the 24-karat closer, a.k.a. the brunch hottie, along with the Midnight Collective, Aleya, O'Brien, Zenieris, Arjuna, the Watcher, Ramgopal, and here in his birthday week, the week of the chocolate.
The week?
Oh my God.
Oh, the Hershey hunk, Mr. Midnight.
That's nuts.
Jonathan Chocolate Boy Kermah.
I don't like any of that. I don't like any of that.
Everybody on three. Give me a pew pew. 3, 2, 1. Pew. Happy birthday.
Chocolate Boy sounded a little racist.
I
was like, you put a little
crazy,
too much chocolate boy. It's a way that you can. It's a way that you can get. You can say boy, or you can say boy.
I don't know.
Whenever you say boy, it's racist, and that's how I said it. That's how I said it. Kerm, how are you feeling with your birthday? How old are you now?
I'm 25, turning 26.
Wow, Kerm. You guys are getting up there, man.
Yeah.
You guys are getting up there on the other side of 25.
I don't
Watch
like
the clock.
I don't
Like
like
get
it.
something going with your life.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, we're real slouches over here.
Charles,
Yo, what's up?
I learned something about Aleya this week.
Oh, no.
Okay. An acquaintance that we have, a guy that we met and we hung out with, Aleya's a big fan. Okay. Do you remember the New York Night?
You went to dinner with this person.
Yes.
Do you remember the guy, the actor? We won't say his name.
Well,
I will say one of the most charming gentlemen I've ever met in real life.
What did I tell? What did I say? One of the most, there's an actor, a certain actor.
Finn, you called me Aleya O'Brien.
Okay, so
I
it's
think they all know.
So it's Dylan O'Brien. So look,
They're not stupid.
So it's Dylan
You're
O'Brien.
not sly.
So look, here's the deal. Like Aleya is so focused. If you're listening to my voice right now and you're an upper somewhere, Aleya is a fantastic employee. Always on her job, great manager, all of that stuff. I've never seen her too up or too down. She's very even keeled and she nips shit right in the bud. I said Dylan O'Brien's name, and Aleya became a co-ed in 1963 when the Beatles came
Is
on.
this true?
It was the
Aleya?
Ed Sullivan Show. I never seen anything like it. She went, oh my
All
God,
right.
yes. She with
right.
Bobby socks.
This
She's
is
the whole nine.
misogynistic. Listen. He's my favorite white boy. I will say it.
Oh,
I think
damn.
He was fantastic in Teen Wolf. Here's my thing. He was an incredible actor in Teen Wolf, and obviously that's a show that's like not highbrow, but he did an exceptional job in the 3rd season when he became evil, and he's very talented. And
Very
I think he's an unproblematic white boy, which
Very.
in a sea of very problematic
Few and
white
far
boys.
between.
Charles and I were lucky enough, thanks to Tommy Alter, who knows literally everyone, right? So we hung out with Tommy. In
Who
New
else
York.
was there?
Huh? What happened?
Sorry.
What do you say?
Who else was there? I was like, the two of them were.
Oh no, Mandy was there and Myrna.
So many mushrooms.
Yeah, Mandy was there, and then Myrna Malloy, the actress, was there as well. You might have seen her before. Yeah. So we're all hanging out with every. And isn't Dylan a captivating hang? I was telling her what a nice guy he is.
Not only a captivating hang, but usually you're just like, oh, I'm hanging out with an actor. They're either gonna be like an asshole or too cool. Motherfucker was just down in Guinness, like super chill, laid back.
Having fun.
Amazing guy.
Aleya, we're gonna make it happen for you. We're gonna make it happen.
Oh, Dylan.
We're gonna make it happen.
All right.
That Aleya went crazy. All right. Follow us on socials: Insta, Twitter, Facebook, TikTok. For now, save Jomi's job. Jomi.
Socials are going great. Thank you guys for continuing to follow and support, man. You know, the sport's been great, honestly. It's been awesome. You know, so shout out to you guys. Thank
That
you.
was very high energy. We're now on YouTube.
You can't
can
kill
watch
him.
every single just when you're on the mic perform. Like you can now watch every Midnight Boys House of R Talk to Thrones episode on YouTube.com/@Ringerverse. Like, comment, and subscribe. Programming reminders.
I come out with energy. It's
The
like you dick
Midnight
sucking.
Boys will be back
I
next
don't.
week. Wait, hold on. You won't be here though.
I will not. I will be on vacation.
All right, so Kermah will rotate in. Kerm, what do you want to like? Kerm, what do you want to do next week? What do you want to do next week? We can't do the white boy draft because we need Steve. Kerm, what do you want to cover? It's Kerm's choice.
It's
Right now,
Kerm's
on the
choice.
spot, Kerm's choice. What do you want to cover next week?
Wow. Can we like rank all the X-Men movies? Can we do that? Could that be a thing?
Kerm, that's going to get us in trouble. We don't want to do that.
I tried, man.
You said the one thing
Kerm,
that
you know
he
what?
can't
The
really.
one thing we can't
Kerm,
do.
you know what you need to do? You need to get involved in like what we got going on over
Yeah,
here.
you might not know.
Like,
It's like the one thing.
like
you
you
can't
know
have.
known that like we can't do that. All right? So
Yeah.
think
That's
about
on me.
it's-
That's on me. That's
it's
on me.
Kerm's choice. So
But
think about what you want to do, and then we'll do it. We rotate you into Steve's spot, and then we'll
Right.
do the white movie draft. I think the next week, right? We'll all be together.
Yeah,
again.
Steve has to be here.
He's
Steve
gotta
has
be
to
there.
be
He's
there.
gotta be there.
It's his people. It's his situation. House of R gives you their Rings of Power preview.
Mm-hmm.
A preview of Rings of Power. And I'll tell you what. If there's anything that people have been excited for in the history of the television world,
All right, don't be an asshole.
it's the return of Rings of Power. I've
Don't
never
be
heard
an
this much buzz on the street. I've never heard the Tolkien like this before in my life. I was walking up the street right now and I heard this guy go, "Oh my God, Rings of Power is coming back." Everyone's talking about it.
People can
Play
like it.
No one's saying like it, but you know, it's not moving.
Motherfuckers, we're about to be watching Penguin and Agatha, so we can't say shit.
I'm excited for it.
I'm excited for some of those shows.
By the way, I want to address something. We didn't cover Alien Romulus.
We didn't.
Why?
You guys didn't.
Y'all didn't.
Right.
And then Edition did.
We did.
Yeah.
Okay. So when I said we, I mean the Midnight Boys.
Okay.
Mhm.
So we got to talk about, because people are wondering, we got to talk about who's making these decisions about what's getting covered, okay? Because
Oh, well.
we have to, yeah.
Okay.
Oh well, we have to
Uh-huh.
talk about who's making these decisions about what's getting
We
covered.
were off for a week, man.
I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the fact we didn't cover Alien Romulus,
Okay.
fucking Batman Cape Crusader,
Nope.
like Superman and Lois. Did you guys do that one as well? No, you did. You did
No.
My Adventures with Superman.
Yes.
We gotta talk about like what's happening here and what's going on. We talk about this as a family.
First
okay?
of all, I would never see Alien Romulus after hearing what's happening in that fucking movie. I can't.
What happened? In
I
the
don't
movie?
do horror movies. I can't like
You've never seen
motherfucker.
any
he's a
Alien
coward.
before?
No. I've seen the
God damn, Steve.
Jesus
what is
Christ.
all right, fuck it. We're doing the white boy job next week. Fuck Steve. I've seen the best
Oh, so
Alien
he's making
movies, which
decisions
is
like
the
that.
first
The
two.
first two, and
Yeah.
it's kind of like the first two. This one's kind of like the first
The host
two.
of the show, if he says we're doing it next week, we're doing it next week. We're doing it next week with Kerm. You're done.
Great.
So
And guess what? You solve your own problem. That's who makes decisions on the show.
who? Charles. If
Didn't
Charles,
wanna do it.
If Charles says we're doing it next week, we're doing it.
And
next
if he
week.
says we're not covering Romulus, that's why.
I'm saying I'm not seeing it.
No,
I'm
that's
too
a,
scared.
That's a conversation. But if Charles were to put his foot, we didn't even have the conversation. But see if Charles were to put his foot down and say, "We're not covering Romulus. We're not covering Romulus." Okay.
Wow.
Honestly, you know what? For you laughing, Mint Boys, y'all off. Kerm, you're here next week. We're doing Cape Crusader. We're doing Superman.
Hey, you know what we about to do?
hate us,
Yeah,
Steve.
We
they
about
do.
to do.
They really do.
We about to do.
They
the
take 1 week off.
We about to do the
We don't
midnight
sleep.
rebound.
Yeah,
we about
I
to
hate
cover all the shit y'all covered and go up with that bitch. I'm gonna have the whole cast of Alien Romulus sitting on this.
Kerm, you coming up? Isaiah, we can
Okay, that's enough. It's good. But they were asking about it. I forgot you guys covered it, but they did a good job. I really liked the Cape Crusader episode though. Cape Crusader was great.
It's
Good,
great.
it's good.
Yeah,
It's
Kalika was addicted to it.
Oh yeah.
She's like, "Oh my God, let's watch the bat. Let's watch the bat." She likes it because women got to take center stage, and like it's black women. They made what's her name into a black woman.
Is that what she said?
Wait, who's the
She's
black
like,
woman now?
Barbara Gordon. She's black.
Really?
Yeah.
She's
I mean,
black.
she was black
That's a
in
little
Lego Batman.
problematic
sworn that she's been
considering
black
the
before.
history of Barbara Gordon in the animated universe.
Yeah,
Yeah.
You know? Batman hitting that.
yeah. I mean, we'll see. I mean, I could see it happening in this right here too. I could see a whole
Really?
scandal type situation. Yeah. Damn. Yeah, I could see it happen. It's a good show. Today's show though, we're giving you the state of the nerd union as the Midnight Boys grade the year in Marvel, DC, Star Wars, and Game of Thrones, the main things that we cover here. So getting into that, we have a spoiler warning for all MCU, DC, Star Wars, and Game of Thrones content date. Let's do it. We're getting ready to talk about
House of the Dragon.
Star Wars!
The hierarchy of power.
Excelsior!
You're listening to a reaction podcast. The spoilers are coming. All right, Trump.
All right, welcome to the Midnight Boy State of the Nerd Union. We do this exercise every year. We're going to discuss how the MCU, DC, Star Wars, and Game of Thrones franchises fared this year, creatively, critically, commercially. And at the end of each debate, the Midnight Boys will give their individual grades ranging from A+ to F. Now, before we get into this, I think last time we did a report card, you got mad. You're saying no A+. It seemed. Do you remember this?
I don't remember.
It was
all.
the DC look ahead thing. It was
Yeah.
like plus.
Are we
F
good
minus.
with an A+, or do we want to do an A?
Oh, we could do A+, whatever you guys think.
Like plus, minus, all that. Yeah.
Plus, because it's two different grades, but I get it. A soft A, strong A, whatever. I get it. Yeah,
All right,
good.
so
Plus,
we're going to
minus.
start with Star Wars. I'm
Okay.
going to go over the year. If I miss anything, let me know. Recently was announced, Acolyte not coming back for season 2, canceled. First trailer for Skeleton Crew recently dropped. We did not get to discuss it on the show. Andor season 2 coming out next year, and presumably Ahsoka season 2 is coming at some point. Only Star Wars movie with a confirmed date is The Mandalorian and Grogu on May 22nd, 2024. And the projects that are still in some type of limbo, Taika Waititi's Star Wars movie, James Mangold's movie, and Donald Glover's Lando movie. Let's start with you, Van. What is the state of Star Wars? Because obviously with the Acolyte not coming back, it's very shaky ground. And the Skeleton Crew trailer did not seem like it lit the internet on fire.
Okay, so the only live action Star Wars show that we got this year was The Acolyte, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, but there was Tales of the Empire
Mhm.
that came out. That was really fantastic. I really enjoyed that. What other Star Wars properties did we get this year? Is it just Tales of the Empire and The Acolyte?
I believe so.
I believe that's it. Did
Huh?
we get any
Bad
more
Batch
anime?
season
Bad
3.
Bad
Bad
Batch.
Batch season 3, which I'm only halfway through Bad Batch season 3. So if we're going to talk about the entirety of Star Wars, we should probably include those properties too.
Right.
However, it's not going to change my grade because as we talk about those things, they didn't quite move the needle, right?
Yeah.
Star Wars is a D and it's almost an F. Star Wars is in peril. Like it when I say a D and almost an F, I mean The Acolyte itself to me was not a show that was an F.
No.
But to cancel the show is a front-facing admittance of the danger that Star Wars is in and the shakiness at the top. To cancel that show after one season is a disastrous move that reeks of desperation to me.
Yes.
No one would have cared if it would have come back. The decision to make it, to me, signals more than the decision to have brought the show back. I'm not saying it was the greatest show in the world. I'm just saying the way I view the health of something is how it's living, what its future is, and what the nutrition of that entity is. And I don't think Star Wars has great infusion of talent and ideas right now. I don't think it has a stable future, and the present is definitely not stable.
So we didn't talk about this, but does Skeleton Crew worry you? Because after the Acolyte, I feel like they need just a hit. And when I saw Skeleton Crew, it's dropping on Christmas. I'm like, I don't know if this is the type of series that they need right now.
So it doesn't really bother me for that reason because of a couple of things. Number one, there's not really, I think when we say they need a hit, we feel that way. But then when you look at, I don't think they feel like they need a hit. I don't. I think
When's the last time they had one?
But I think the way they look at things is they think it would take another decade for the interest in Star Wars to wane. They really feel that way. They feel like it would take, with the last 40 or 50 years of Star Wars fare, and with how big the lore is, and with how big the fandom is, and with how big the entire base of people who love Star Wars is, I think they think it would take another 10 years, another 15 years for us to ruin this. Or they might think something else. It's probably more realistic that they think this, that they can't ruin it. That no matter when they make something Star Wars, you'll watch. So I don't think they feel like that. If you're asking Do we need a hit? I think some of us do and some of us don't. But Skeleton Crew is what it is, and it's not going to change. They made it. They got to put it out.
I mean, it might be good. It was just like when I saw the trailer for it, I was like, I think this is a lot of Disney Plus. You can kind of tell that it was greenlit in another area where, I mean, where I think they were trying a lot of different things. And now I think we're getting to the point where it's like, there's a reason The Mandalorian and Grogu is the only movie that has a date. Because to me, that's the only thing that's working besides Andor. But Andor was always just going to be 2 seasons. And even commercially, I don't know if Andor did what they wanted it to do. So like, what were you saying?
I feel like the commercial viability of Andor is kind of immaterial because that was so universally loved that they'll make an Emmys push for that. They've made there's so much goodwill that came off of Andor that I think it could almost be counting as its own like boon for them that they're probably not going to have for another long time.
But it's expensive, though.
It's very expensive. Yeah. And so was the Acolyte. They spent like $200 million on that season.
Yeah.
Which is wildly expensive and unnecessary
But you don't
already.
spend that much money on something for people not to watch.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And you certainly don't cancel that show if you didn't believe in it in the first place after spending all that kind of money, which is the ultimately hugest disappointing factor about getting rid of the Acolyte. I agree with you. We all had our notes about it. We weren't exactly singing the show's praises. But the fact that they clearly didn't believe in it enough to sit in it and stick with something that even goes as far as like, okay, well, we can take what we actually learned from this show and improve upon it, build upon something. They don't seem to want to build upon anything other than making a hit, other than something that can like universally drum up a lot of success for them.
Well, this isn't like new though, right? They did like after The Last Jedi, you and Joe had that wonderful discussion that you can go watch on YouTube right now. And after The Last Jedi fiasco, they're like, cool, we're just going to triple back. We're going to double down. We're going to go all the way down, right? So it's kind of like when you struggle at something, it's like when like you try to like cook for the first time and it turns out bad. You're like, all right, never cooking again. I'm just going to take out the rest of my life.
But isn't it crazy?
That's how they operate.
Isn't it crazy though that when we like, of all of the things that we know are hard canceled and not coming back at Star Wars, the only thing that we've heard about from them coming forward and being like, nah, we killed it, was Acolyte. Not Obi-Wan, not Book of Boba Fett.
Yeah.
It's a hardcore pander. Go ahead.
But it's not. But
how is that? That's not a pander.
It's not pander.
That is
right,
true.
though.
But it's
The
right.
problem is
We're
you're
not
not-
seeing Book of Boba Fett again. We probably won't be seeing
Well,
Obi-Wan again.
Tamora Morrison came out and they were like, you're going to be in Mandalorian Grogu. He's like, probably not. Y'all didn't like that other show, so
Right.
you're probably not going.
Yeah, but here's the thing. It is kind of crazy that Acolyte ended like a month and a half ago, and they're already
like,
Yo,
don't
this
worry,
shit's
guys,
canceled.
we killed that
That's
shit.
the coward. I mean, you called him a coward earlier. That was crazy. But that's the cowardice of Star Wars. Something doesn't work, and they're like, cool, we're dumping it. We're done.
Hold
Like,
on. You know what's funny? Is like, first of all, I have 2 things to say. Number one, I didn't have any notes for the Acolyte. This is not a Steve thing. This is not a Steve thing. But it irks me when we say we had notes.
Why?
You can't have no notes. Do you know how hard it is to do what they did?
No, of course.
Like it's like you can't give them notes. It's like me. It's literally like me. It's the same thing as me saying this is what LeBron James needs to do. This is what he needs to work on during the summer.
Okay,
Acolyte ain't LeBron James. Let's be clear.
We're not acting. There's nobody.
Acolyte didn't come
hold on,
back
hold on.
down 3-1
There's
against
nobody
Golden State,
in the NBA who you can talk about the way that they're playing, but there's nobody in the NBA you can help with their game. Not one player. There's not one player in the NBA you can help with their game.
So
They're
I'm not
playing
going to argue
basketball at
that,
too high a level.
but I do think that the argument that Steve, Jomi are making that Star Wars, especially since the Last Jedi fiasco, I do think has a problem with standing by what they put out.
That's our fault.
I don't think so.
Our fault.
How is it
How
our
is it
fault?
our
How are
fault?
we more responsible for the creative output of a thing that you say we can't help?
No, you definitely can't help it. You're more responsible because of the reaction. The reaction to everything is so fire and brimstone. It's so binary. The thing that happened with the conversation between Joe and I can go watch The Last Jedi and not have loved the movie, but then not come back and say that the movie was an absolute waste of time and spend all time online destroying the movie, bashing the movie, doing all of this. The fandom is so deep in, and I'm one of them. The fandom is so deep in that the executives, who once again, you guys, we keep having this conversation over and over and over again. The people that you think are dedicated to telling some great, amazing story about how the galaxy gets saved, that's not what they're dedicated to. They're dedicated to pleasing you. And you guys can't be pleased.
I will
like they're dedicated. They're dedicated.
That's
they're
a little
not,
unfair.
They're not dedicated to telling this amazing. There are writers in a room right now with 3 red cameras and $150,000, right? If they could get 3 reds for $150,000. If you got 3 reds, hit me up. I need them. But like if with 3 red cameras writing a story that they have got to tell.
Right.
And it doesn't matter what you think. They might do a silent movie. They might do a movie where the niggas dancing. They might do it, and they have to tell it.
You got served.
You got served, right?
It's the artist meets you got served. It's silent.
You got served. Far away.
Again,
so sick.
Three ideas, guys. Come on.
You know what they could do?
You're saying we can't help Star Wars.
They could actually just do You Got Served. Take the dancing out and just make it Jedi, and that would cook. Oh my God!
Man, you're saying that we can't help Star Wars. Come on.
We can't help Star Wars.
No, but all right. So I will say this though. I get what you're saying, Van. I do think Star Wars does have a problem with listening to the top 5%, the most toxic part of the fandom.
Sure.
Yeah,
Where
they're
it's
listening to the
like-
loudest more than they think about like actually believing in the thing. Because I would have believed that, like, I would have believed you when they said that they're dedicated to pleasing us if they only came out with Force Awakens. Because if they didn't, they wouldn't have let Last Jedi get across the finish line. Because then it'd be like, whoa, this is gonna piss way too many people off.
I think Van has a point, but the problem is, and you mentioned this, is that there's a group of people who are dedicated to making the fandom toxic. Like anytime there's a person of color, anytime there's a woman, anytime there's
bad
something
faith actors.
that exactly that doesn't align with their worldview, they're like, they're gonna review bomb it. They're gonna spew all this hate and all this stuff. And that's the feedback that they're getting in Star Wars. And like, that's not entirely correct. I think there's like a top 5, top 10% of people who are like all the way in there, like hateful and mean and just like nasty for no reason. There's like, the 10% at the end who don't care.
Right.
There's like it's like a bell curve. There's like 80% who are like, hey man, it was cool. Maybe we watch some more. You know what I'm saying? But they only listen to that top 10%, and that's not good for a majority of the fans.
I get it. 2 things. One is Andor, the show that we all laud and love, doesn't care about Star Wars fandom, right? And we know at the same time, it's not as well watched. There's a line there that's starting to get, I'm not shooting him any bail. There's a line there that's starting to get impossible to watch, to walk. Andor is the one story where the guy does care about just telling this story, audience be damned. It's sublime, but at the same time, it's not quite as possible. If you make Ahsoka, which is coming off Rebels and has beloved characters, and it lands lukewarm and people tear it to shreds. And by the way, I'm not saying anyone shouldn't be honest with their criticism. I'm just saying when that happens, the people at Lucasfilm fucking freak out, I can tell you.
Sure.
When the Ahsoka thing comes back and they go, oh my God, we just delivered them all of these member berries wrapped up in this stuff, blah, blah, blah. And that doesn't work. They freak. And what we're seeing now is a little bit of panic from them. And we'll talk about some panic that we're seeing in Marvel too. They don't know what to do because they don't know how to please the audience.
And it's interesting though, because my conspiracy theory brain about like something like an Acolyte cancellation, well, why does like a creative team that makes the Acolyte, who has done all of these amazing shows and stories as well, even brilliant minds like that worked on Book of Boba Fett and all these other things, like it feels weird to me that like all of these other creatives outside of, say, Andor, just decided to make their most revered or like not exactly connecting with an audience work when it comes to a Star Wars property. I know that all of those creatives know what they're doing. I have a pretty good idea about that. But like, it seems that like, why is only Andor getting it right?
I will
like,
say
to
this.
say that it's like not the one that cares, or it's like too cool for Star Wars, and that's why it works.
I'm first of all, I'm not taking anything away from anybody.
No, of course.
On any other show. That
For
guy's
sure.
a fucking badass.
No, of course. And but like
you know what I mean?
But like
I'm not
to
saying
me,
he's this fucking guy.
But Tony, I mean, it's
So he's-
also
he's got
some
it was
fucking
his
difference.
job
He's fucking
before he was a
badass.
director and writer
Yeah.
to
I get
fix
it.
scripts. So
Exactly.
Yeah.
he's not. But I do think that the thing that's happening to Star Wars that to me is interesting is I think Andor poisoned the well a little bit, because now anytime we kind of just get like an okay TV show in the Star Wars universe. We're like, well, it's not Andor. I'm like, well, Tony Gilroy's not fucking writing it and directing and showrunning it. That's the first thing. I also think, are we getting to the point where maybe Star Wars is not best served in TV? Where I feel like Star Wars for so long was a cinematic experience, and I'm taking like the animated shows away from it. But it's like, we want to go to the movies and be wowed for 2 hours and see a galaxy far, far away. When you're seeing a galaxy far, far away every other month, I do think as like fans, we start to get more nitpicky. Versus like if we saw an Ahsoka movie and it was just, I don't know, like an 8 out of 10 or a 7 out of 10, do you really think people would have been freaking out? Probably not.
Yeah.
But when it's stretched over a season, I think people start being like, well, this, that.
That's a great point. I do think that that's true. I do also think that there's just a difference between Star Wars fandom and like a lot of other fandoms. I'm not blaming the fandom. Like, man, Star Trek had Deep Space Nine, Star Trek, The Voyager, Enterprise niggas, Star Trek, The New Whale.
But it started on TV.
Star Trek niggas.
It did start on TV. And that's and because it started on TV, I'm saying, you know what I'm saying?
Are you casting that show
now?
now?
Enterprise
Niggas
show.
is crazy.
Jordy LaForge.
It's all Shorty
It's the
LaForge.
captain.
Well, the thing about it though, Jordy LaForge gets trapped on a planet by himself, and he meets this organism, right? And the organism bonds to him, and it creates more organisms that kind of look like Jordy LaForge.
Okay.
And then the Enterprise comes back, but it also, the organism lets him live for a long, long time. He fucking cures his blindness, the whole nine. The Enterprise comes back 100, 200, 300 years in the future, right? Come back to the planet, and they're like, oh my God, this planet is niggas everywhere because they're all basically DNA clones of Jordy LaForge because he had to bond with this organism on the planet to create new life forms.
Right.
They're human, they're kind of humanoid.
Are they fucking each other?
There's a civil war that's happening, and the Enterprise.
Here's the thing. Jordy LaForge Civil War.
But hear me out.
What?
But hear me out. This is all black Star Wars movie. So Jordy LaForge gets crash
I'm
lands.
locked in right
Jordy
now.
LaForge crash lands on a planet, right?
Yeah.
He crash lands on this planet. He's going to die. He doesn't have any sustenance.
Yes.
There's an organic organism,
Like a symbiote.
that lives on the planet that attaches to Jordy LaForge and makes him strong, but also as a byproduct, he fucking multiplies.
Yeah.
So before you know
Imprints
it,
DNA, yeah.
DNA is everywhere. The planet starts to change, and it's a whole planet that's like Jordy LaForge is a whole new race of people. They're human-esque because they reproduce asexually. They start their own society. They do this whole thing. And then after a while, there's a civil war between these two people, which brings the Enterprise back to this planet to try to make peace in the civil war. The guy goes, who is the old man that's been here for a long time? It's Jordy LaForge.
The real Jordy LaForge.
Like he sees the eye.
I'm Dune Messiah.
I'm telling you this right now.
Star Wars niggas. That's the
Does
movie.
Tuvok show up or like
Of all the Star
Oh,
Wars.
that is. Oh, Ahura, bruh. They could. Well, she's dead.
Yeah,
In this-
but-
yeah, this timeline, yeah, she is.
Well, she's been dead, right? But what about Whoopi Goldberg?
There you go.
Maybe she was in
She
stasis.
came back from
Let's
the
give our grades for Star
That's
Wars.
not, by the way, Van, not the worst Star Trek episode I've ever heard.
I'm just saying,
Not the
that's
Mariner
the
shows
whole
up.
Not the
fucking
worst.
thing. Jordy LaForge is there, and it's we can have some maybe underlying themes about unity in the community.
There you
know
go.
what I mean?
You have a civil war between a planet full of black men.
people is
I
kinda
don't know,
nuts.
bruh.
Don't act like it couldn't happen.
All right, man. What's your grade?
It's a D. It's
Right.
a D. It's a D.
Jomi?
I'm gonna give it a C minus. Because the Bad Batch came out this year, and the Bad Batch season 3 was excellent. It was great. Pulled out the heartstrings. It was like very, very a very great send off for those characters and for that show. But ultimately, and we talked about it a lot, I think the Acolyte was the thing they were banging on. And ultimately, while we didn't love it, we liked it enough, and they after like 6 weeks were like, "Cool, get it out of here," and that's really disappointing. I got to give it a C minus.
Yeah, I'll give it a C for those same reasons. I really need I need the like industrial complex of Star Wars to kind of believe in itself a bit more. And if it doesn't exactly work the first time right away, you can still work with something and make something great. Because if we worked on that metric, then the animated Clone Wars show would have been canceled
After
season
the
1.
movie, they would have sent that thing to the
I know, right? Like, yeah, like sit in it for a second.
Yeah, it's a D. Y'all are wild.
It's
It's a D.
I liked
parts of
Bad
that.
Batch.
I like parts of that. I like parts of the Acolyte. It's just in total disarray.
Y'all didn't watch the Bad Batch. It's okay. Y'all not locked in.
I watched half of it. But also, you know what? I like the Bad Batch, but I don't like the Bad Batch as much as I've caught up on the Bad Batch. I always get to the Bad Batch, but I'm not as huge a Bad Batch fan as some other people are.
But it's solid. Like
It's good. It's not just
rock
solid. It's good.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, so we're going to DC. This one won't be as long because we haven't seen a lot of this stuff. But James
A lot
Gunn,
of it, nigga. We ain't
Superman,
seen
rap
nothing.
filming. What?
Oh, we ain't seen all of this shit. We ain't seen nothing.
Yeah, but here we can talk about the state of it.
I know, but you saying we ain't seen a lot of it. We didn't seen 2 trailers. All of this shit, maybe 3.
Can I just finish, bro?
Go for it.
God damn.
Apologize. Once I apologize, we got to move on. That's the new rule. Like the new rule
That's
on
so
the
toxic,
That
by
is
the way.
so-
That's so toxic, man.
Toxic ass shit. That's a black man ass shit.
That's
Once
the
I
new rule.
apologize, we're moving on.
It doesn't
wanna
matter
hear
if
about
I
it.
mean it. It doesn't matter if I back up my
But-
apology with
so-
actions. Also
Look,
Have you
matters.
ever told that to Kalika?
Yep.
No.
Call Kalika.
No,
Call Kalika
no,
right
no,
now,
no,
bro.
no, no, no.
Hold on. You want me to call her? Hold on.
Jesus Christ.
That's the most toxic shit I've ever heard.
The
Just because
rule
I
is-
apologize, that
hold
means
on,
it's over.
hold on, watch this. Because you guys think that this is not the rule. This is the rule.
No manches.
Once I apologize, that's it.
That's so fucked.
That is so
Hold on for a second. Let's see.
It's so fucked.
Hold on. Let's see. Hold on. Let's see. She might be moving stuff because all of the flood and stuff
Yeah.
like that. Let's see. Kalika. Oh, she's. Are you
Brushing her teeth?
Are you brushing your teeth or something? You're on the podcast.
Okay, well, you didn't text me before to let me know that. Because I just ate something. And like, I have the taste of eggs. And
Okay.
Yeah, okay.
Okay. What's the rule about apologies?
The rule about apologies is if you apologize immediately, then you have to accept it.
That's it.
What? No.
No.
That's it. That's the rule.
I didn't make up the rule. I
Obviously.
don't fully agree with it, but
You don't agree with it, Kalika?
Once.
I don't fully agree with it, but I go along with it. If you take it away quickly, then it has to be accepted.
Okay.
Apologize
right away. Once I say sorry, let's just move on. And
Jesus
it works
Christ.
it works for everyone.
I don't know.
It works for everybody. Apologize, you move right on. So Kalika,
okay.
guess what? I apologize for calling while you were brushing your teeth.
Okay, that's right.
Yeah.
Thank you, bye.
Amazing.
Oh my
All right,
goodness.
wow.
All right, so DC, James Gunn, Superman, rap filming after months of set leaks. The shows and movies we have coming, Joker Folie à Deux, The Penguin in September, Creature Commandos, animated series in December. I think that's going to be the first DC Studios canon. Project we get, upcoming projects, Supergirl, Brave and the Bold, Swamp Thing, The Authority, Paradise Lost, Booster Gold, Waller, Lanterns.
And Peacemaker.
And I
Eventually.
forgot-
Peacemaker season 2, yeah.
At some point.
So I think because we haven't seen a lot of the stuff, what I want to ask is, because everything else is in a state of disarray, do you think DC is actually set up to succeed a little bit more now? Where it's like James Gunn, Superman, it seems like it has fresh. It's fresh in a way that I'm like, a lot of this other stuff I think is a little bit more dented. And James Gunn has been, I'm not saying talking his shit a little bit, but they wrapped filming and he was basically like, he said on social media, yeah, I wrap a year in advance because I want to give the VFX people enough time when we film. The script is finished. I don't do a lot of reshoots. Everything that I'm hearing about Superman is giving me a lot of warmth and positivity because it seems like he wants to do this right. He's not fucking around.
You guys go first this time.
Well, I mean, the thing about James Gunn, he comes from like a very like technical background. Like he worked on like trauma films, right, way back when. And ultimately, what it is like you don't have when he like how he learned to make films was very you write the script, you film it. There's not a lot of chance to do any stuff on the back end, right? So he takes that with him to the big budget films. That's how he's always operated. He did that on Guardians, and now he's moving to Superman. I think that's great for the superhero movies. I think it's great for Superman. In terms of the entire future of DC, I'm I don't know, right? We have to see Superman first because that's the linchpin. That's our first foray into his world. I, like you, am excited for Superman. I think what it comes down to is we're so down on all this other stuff, Star Wars, Marvel, all this stuff, that anything that looks like, oh, we might enjoy that like brings it up a notch because everything is so down right now, so I'll be there and I'll be excited for it, but ultimately we haven't seen anything, so I can't plant my flag and be like, yeah, Superman's going to be the next big thing.
Yeah, it's very interesting and a tiny bit confusing, but I can find myself excited by it because to know that James Gunn is effectively DC's Kevin Feige, he holds all the keys. He's going to be the one that's going to be a major driving force in getting projects greenlit, in getting things off the ground. He will build the rooms. He will be drafting directors and making all these things and big decisions. That feels very untested for somebody who has, by all accounts, been a very solid director and a very great filmmaker with a pretty good work ethic. But it's very interesting and a little shaky to feel that okay, once somebody's in that level of control, I'm very interested to see how all of those things work out because it seems like it's going to rest on his shoulders for the most part. But we have all these other things that I actually like that DC is kind of out of sync with the rest of itself. It's not like an MCU where everything is seemingly connected. We'll dial back on your prerequisite knowledge for everything later, but the idea that, the Batman is going to come out, that's going to have nothing to do with what James Gunn is doing. Joker Folie à Deux, we're going to assume that nothing is going on with what James Gunn's doing. Creature Commandos could just be a fun little offshoot and have nothing to do with the rest of this stuff. I like the idea that you can kind of come across these things at your own speed still. And while we have a big slate of interesting, cool new projects, I already don't feel the pressure of needing to see all of them.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
New,
so that's
fresh.
exciting.
Yeah.
I like it.
So I already know what my grade's going to be, but my entire view on the DC universe with James Gunn at the helm is going to depend on the Superman trailer.
Yeah. Trailer.
Yeah.
Just the trailer.
Which we're probably getting around Super Bowl.
Yeah, just the trailer. It's my entire, because to Steve's point, the thing that Gunn is in a similar situation that Feige was in, but then again, it's similar, but it's different. Okay.
Yeah.
So Gunn is kind of operating under the radar right now, which obviously Kevin Feige was when Iron Man came out. But he's a known quantity, so there are expectations from his universe that the MCU didn't have. So he's got a little bit of the flying under the radar, and then he's got a lot of bit of expectation because of Superman and situations like that. Now, a lot of people might be listening to this and going, how is Superman flying under the radar? It's flying under the radar in the same way that I would say Batman was during Batman Begins. It was a big deal when Batman Begins was coming out, but the character of Batman in the movies was a distressed asset. So it wasn't the same thing from somebody like myself who had been a part of all the Batman promo stuff throughout the 90s, Batman Forever, cups and toys at Burger King, whatever, and Kiss from a Rose going to #1, and Batman Returns and all of that stuff. But by the time it comes along, by the time Batman and Robin kind of ruins the franchise and Batman Begins comes along, you're excited to see a Batman movie, but it's not quite the same thing. You have a great director, a new star, all of that. It's kind of a distressed asset, though. Kind of the same thing here. But there are still some expectations because of the character, and there's interest because of the character. So what I would say is there's so much intrigue about the Superman movie. I have just got to see the way it looks and feels.
Okay.
I have to see not in long form, just even in trailer form.
Wow.
I have to be able to see because, you look at it now, you go, oh, no, I have to be able to see the way this movie looks.
You didn't like the set leaks?
I'm going to be fair about the set leaks. I didn't like them. They looked, but Gunn is a different type of visionary creative. So he has a different aesthetic. He has a different look. the movie seems to be trying to do a lot.
If you saw Guardians of the Galaxy set leaks, I feel like you would have the same, like, what
What
the
are they
fuck
doing?
is this?
Yeah,
and then
right.
you see
That's
the
fair.
movie and you're like, oh, he films in a certain way. His characters do sometimes look goofy. Like even his Suicide Squad movie, a lot of the characters look goofy.
Yeah.
And then you watch that, spoiler alert, a bunch of them die in the first fucking couple minutes, and you're like, oh, I get what type of movie.
Yeah,
you're doing, you know?
it works. And so I for all of this stuff, right? For, obviously the Penguin and the Joker, they exist in the two different ways. I think the Penguin is going to be pretty good. I was really intrigued about what we saw in Hall H when we were there. Creature Commandos seems like something that I might be into because I just don't really give a fuck about it. But it seems like it's one of the things that's low upside, low downside, high upside. The rest of this stuff should all work. The Authority movie of all of this stuff is by far, or whatever this is, if it's a TV show or the movie, by far the thing I'm the most excited about.
The Authority.
Just a badass group.
It's a wild choice too.
Just a badass group.
Here's the thing. I love the Authority comics.
Just
like
a
I've
badass
read them
group,
recently. I just don't. I'm like, dog, how do you make an Authority? Because it's like, how do you make an Authority movie in a world where we have The Boys? Like The Boys to me already feels like it did a lot of the things that obviously the Authority came out first. Does that make sense? Where it's
I
just
do
like,
think it makes sense. Yeah.
if the Authority came out, I don't know, 10 years ago, we'd be like, whoa, superheroes can do this?
Yeah, but in a post-boys
in
world.
a post-boys world, are people going to be as surprised?
So let me ask you a
Second
question.
time we've
then.
asked that question this week.
Yeah.
Let me ask you a question.
Boys.
Is this list of movies, these lists of projects, Supergirl, The Brave and the Bold, Swamp Thing, The Authority, Paradise Lost, Booster Gold, Waller, and Lanterns, is this too cute? Did they get away from playing to the hits? You don't see Aquaman. You don't really see Wonder Woman. I mean, Paradise Lost is Themyscira. You don't see a lot of the people that we've seen. Did they get too cute? Did he go to too many of the deep cuts here?
If we didn't come out of a James Gunn universe where he more or less like did all of this stuff and it feels a little done to death, maybe we do need a bit of a like calmer, softer reset of all of our heavy hitters in this universe. Obviously, I don't see this and see box office exactly.
Yeah,
but
they gotta have that.
They have to have that. But if you build all of these creative like rooms and people that you can have faith in, like I could assume that Gunn's got a vision for all of this.
I mean, yeah, sure.
To make these work.
But I think what it comes down to is the fact that we had Justice League that came out, and whether it's Whedon, whether it's Zack Snyder, it didn't really move.
Mm-hmm.
You know
it salted the earth for a lot of those characters. I
For
feel
sure.
like I feel like even like for Aquaman and Flash and all those characters, we're going to get them. I do think if I'm James Gunn, I'm like, people have such a sour taste. Like
they gotta forget.
We can give Aquaman a rest.
Yeah,
We can,
I do. But also, if we're gonna be honest, this is how Phase 1 of Marvel felt to me, where it was just like we take it for granted. But I remember seeing a Thor film. I was just like, I don't really give a fuck about Thor, but like, shit, I want to see what happens. I feel the same way about like, I don't know, Supergirl movie. Do I give a fuck about Supergirl? Not really. But if they do a good job, I'm like, what? When's the last time you read a Supergirl comic, Van?
Never.
Well,
doesn't mean I don't care about her.
Wow.
Oh man,
I never read a Luke Cage comic, but when I see the nigga, it's like, what's up? But
all right, like you just see him around the neighborhood. And it's like, hey, how's it going?
I never read a Luke Cage. I don't know who you are. Luke Cage.
We gotta be real.
I know him, but I don't know.
It's good to see you.
As black nerds, we do be doing that shit a lot because they'll be like, I'll be in the comic book store. I'm like, nigga, I don't want a Luke Cage comic. But the minute somebody's like, Luke Cage sucks, I'm like, shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up.
Don't talk about Luke Cage. Don't you talk about Luke Cage.
Motherfuckers didn't give a fuck about Black Panther. That movie came out. Everybody.
No, I read Black Panther, though. Black Panther
Did
was
y'all read Mr. Terrific?
No.
I read comics with Mr. Terrific in them, though.
Yeah.
He was the man. In JSA, he was the man.
But like, there's a lot of guys. But I read Black Panther. There was mad black comic characters I care about, but like, some of them, you don't have to read a guy just to care about him, but I get what y'all. I was fucking.
All right, so I'm gonna give a B+.
Okay, B+.
Just in terms of like just excitement level of where we're going. I'll give a B+.
I'm gonna give the dreaded Incomplete.
Incomplete.
You haven't seen nothing.
Oh,
I'm gonna give him an I.
I want to give it a B because like we mentioned, like Superman's gonna be really exciting. There's a whole slate of stuff we haven't seen before. That's really cool. That could be really cool. And Creature Mandos, we saw the trailer. It looks interesting. They got like the voice actors from the movie. Could be interesting.
Yeah.
I'm not excited for Joker. I'm giving it a C.
Hell,
I don't want to be there.
Okay.
Yeah, the Joker sequel's not there for me.
For me, it's just like the height of my optimism doesn't go past the C+, because all of these things can be really, really new and really exciting, but they're untested. And the things that are coming out, I'm like, okay, cool. Well, I really have high hopes for the Penguin show because like that looked great in Hall H, but yeah, Joker, we'll see.
He said, Todd Phillips was like, yeah, man.
It's not a musical. It's just dialogue that have music in it.
They singing, but it's
yeah,
not musical.
they were ducking smoke.
And then they were like, oh, it's not Harley Quinn. She doesn't have any of the stuff that makes her Harley Quinn. We just gave her the name. It's like, all right, bro.
I'm like, and this is where I'm like,
you're not
just
serious.
stand on the thing that you have.
You're not being
like,
serious.
And I will also say, I think the Penguin, like what we saw of the Penguin, I'm actually like, I do think it's going to be good, but we can't lie. Like, the mood in Hall H was...
Nah.
Well, nobody was there for that.
Yeah, nobody was there.
Nobody was there for that.
They were like 30 minutes away from the Marvel stuff, and everybody was just like, all right, looking at the phone, looking at the...
And Colin wasn't there, you know what I mean? So like, but everybody was just like, they were just biding their time. But I will say, it was a great panel though.
Yeah, it was a great panel.
It was a great panel.
For those of us paying attention,
you got a sense of why they made the show, where they want to take the character and the world that they want to
The
build.
show does look... I will say this. I'm not excited for the show. The show does look good. Like, it does.
And let me tell you something. Matt Reeves is thrilled to be working on Batman and Batman adjacent things. Like, I believe he's like, all right, Colin, we just loved what he was doing. We wrote a whole other thing for that. Like, it was great.
Yeah. All right, one last question before I actually want to ask you guys this. I don't want this to happen, but I feel like the momentum is there. What is the possibility that they're like Glenn Powell is going to be Bruce Wayne?
I don't think that. I don't think so.
Look, well, here's the thing, right? We say that we say. I mean, people said this about Michael Keaton. We said this about Christian Bale. You know, even Ben Affleck. I love Ben Affleck's Batman.
Yeah,
don't disrespect. I haven't seen it yet. I'd have to see it. I remember when they announced Robert Pattinson. I remember I was in an Applebee's, right, and my homie was like, "Yo, they just made Robert Pattinson Batman," and for like 5 seconds, I was like, "The dude from Twilight? Hell no!" Then I was like, "Wait, the dude from Twilight? He might have it."
Don't do that. He's had some good movies. Don't do that.
Yeah.
You ain't seen Good Time?
Nah, I'm not.
Good Time's great.
Come on, I know the meme though.
But that's probably the movie that
got him the role
out of the Edwardness. Yeah, you know what I mean.
But you thought about it. You think about it for like a couple seconds. Like, yeah, Robert Pattinson would make a great Batman, and he was a good Batman.
Yeah,
right. And so I haven't seen that from Glenn Powell. Maybe it's there, but
Robert Pattinson is a good Batman. But I'd argue that he hasn't owned the role.
He's had one movie. He's had one movie though.
I know, but what I would say is that you don't think. I mean, you guys are right, but you don't think Batman and then think Robert Pattinson.
No,
not quite yet.
I didn't think that about Christian Bale until The Dark Knight. I liked Batman Begins, but if we're gonna be honest,
I thought he got it. I thought he got it done in Batman Begins. I'm not gonna bullshit you. I get what you're saying.
I do think it does take Batman actors like kind of 2 movies to get it down, because even sometimes like the Batman Begins suit kind of sucks. Like you go back and you're just like,
man, the suit's stupid.
Yeah. So I was asking about Glenn Powell because I'm just like, you were talking about the cutesiness maybe of the lineup. My fear, because it seems like they're going to do the Batman and Robin run for that and have Damian. I'm like, are we going to get cutesy Batman? Are we going to get kind of like witty?
I mean, we already have Pattinson's Batman, which is hard and dark and not great, and like he's not a fun hang exactly of a Batman. So I'm guessing Gunn would probably want to counter
like a Michael Keaton 2 kind of.
Yeah, the only thing I watched the Keaton Batman movie. Batman Returns was on this weekend, and the underplayed thing or the underrated thing about Keaton's Batman is Michael Keaton has a certain darkness to him.
Yeah,
but at the same time, he was able to, like, there's a part in Batman Returns where Alfred says to him, he's like, we gotta get the Batmobile fixed.
Oh, right.
And he goes, yeah, we gotta get the Batmobile fixed. And he goes, there's security concern. We can't just take it to any Joe's body shop. And Bruce is like going into the fish tank to click the thing so he can go to the Batcave. And he goes, you're telling me about security? You don't want to let Vicky Vale into the Batcave. I'm working. I turn around and it's like, oh my God, Vicky, how you doing? And I'm like, that's like funny.
Yeah.
Like we just had a Batman that, he treated Alfred like shit the whole time. Like,
it took 10 minutes to walk up the stairs.
You know what I mean?
You lied to me.
I know that we want to we want to get darker and darker.
Sure,
and
yeah.
darker
No, I don't
and
want a
darker
darker
with Batman
Batman.
until
Yeah.
he's in a fucking room by himself throwing batarangs at people. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
But I think it would be okay. I think I could see a world where you got a Batman that was learning to kind of be a dad.
Yeah.
But I can tell you what, if you miss with that,
It's over.
It's over.
We're
if
going
you-
right back to it.
So
It's over.
missing with a dark Batman, you still get
You get
something that
another
people. You can get people. If you miss with family-friendly Batman, it's gonna look so
gonna look
fucking
crazy.
crazy.
But I don't even think it's so much on the Batman. If you fuck up, because here's the thing, you have the plucky factor. If you have a Robin that fucks up that movie, I don't know, because like Batman is the linchpin of all this shit. Like I know they
Yeah.
want to make it Superman. I'm still I want to see Damian in live action. I'm like, what child actor alive can pull that off?
You'd have to go a little earlier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's
Yeah,
got to be
not,
like
not early. You have to go
mid-teens, late
later. Yeah,
teens.
you'd have to
Yeah.
go 14, 15, 13.
14, 15?
But Damien's,
You'd ha-
yeah,
you'd
Damien's
have
like
to-
One of the
10.
Stranger
Yeah.
Things kid? Nah, bro.
Bruh, if you go, if is to me, I mean, I don't know. When you think about it, you there might
Finn
be some.
Wolfhard, 6'5".
That's fair. Yeah, I forget how
Dude.
tall that kid is.
Hell no.
Yeah, I mean, you might be able to. I don't know. I think that the character of Damian kind of gets it takes all the pluck out of it. But once again, the movie, I would say even Affleck's Batman was a little bit less disaffected than some of the other people.
I thought
For
I
sure.
liked his charming Bruce
I
Wayne.
liked his charming Bruce Wayne as well with the hidden sense
Yeah.
of purpose.
I
you
think
know?
back to the Glenn Powell point. I think he could play like a pretty solid Bruce Wayne, honestly.
He could play an
Good.
amazing Bruce Wayne.
The
Could he play
Batman. That's
Once
the
I see
question.
Glenn Powell in the cow, I'm be like, it's like seeing Glenn Powell is not Tom Cruise, but it's like if Tom Cruise was Batman, I'm like, that's Tom Cruise. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no. Yeah, Glenn Powell's still he's like on the rise, but he's still not at the point where like he takes you out of the movie with his stardom.
Yeah, I mean,
he's dripping with charisma though.
yeah.
He's
So that's why, like,
very-
as a Bruce Wayne, he'd
yeah.
be a fantastic Bruce Wayne. As Batman, he'd have to tap into something I don't think.
If he put some
We've
bass
seen
in his
yet.
voice, I don't know how I'd feel. Like just like drive the car, Alfred.
All right, let's do the MCU. So Deadpool and Wolverine, officially the highest grossing R-rated movie of all time with 1.086 billion worldwide. X-Men 97 was the highest rated MCU project on Rotten Tomatoes earlier this year. Agatha All Along is releasing in September. Obviously, RDJ came back to the MCU's Doctor Doom, or is coming back. Russo brothers are directing the next two Avengers film. But rumored trouble with Blade. I just saw
Rumored.
we will talk
Like,
about
that's
Blade later. And the upcoming Marvel projects we have for next year are Daredevil Born Again, Captain America Brave New World, Thunderbolts, Fantastic Four, and then maybe Ironheart seems like it might be next year as well.
Yeah, they announced it. Yeah, it's coming out
Yeah.
this
Full
year.
trailer. I saw the full trailer.
So,
Yeah.
and we're still waiting on Blade, Wonder Man, Vision Quest, Shang-Chi 2, a Wakanda TV series, and then Avengers Doomsday, Avengers Secret Wars.
Wonder Man has finished shooting.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So, state of Marvel for you then.
Marvel's on the upswing.
Mm.
Like Marvel's on the upswing. I'm going to give Marvel a B plus. I'm gonna give I can't give them an A because we're not there yet. But this is what I'm basing my B plus on. Okay. So they are riding the most successful movie that they've had in a long time. And when I say successful, I'm not just talking about the box office. I'm talking about a movie that was also able to capture culture the way Marvel hasn't been able to do in a while. Even Guardians of the Galaxy 3, which was a very successful movie critically and commercially, it just didn't have this many people talking about it like all the time.
I mean, they did bring back Hugh Jackman, so.
I get it,
Right.
but that's what they were going for. That's why you
Fair,
do that.
fair.
That's why you do that. So number one, they have the conversation piece. They have a movie that people love. And you guys, I got to say this. We were fair to the movie here and with the big picture as far as some of the things that were wrong with the movie. Yo, people love this movie.
Yeah.
They love it.
Mhm.
They've gone to see it 2 or 3 times. Like, people love the movie. A lot of the things that we felt that were wrong with the movie, those are fair criticisms. But in terms of the movie going public, they love Wolverine and Deadpool.
For sure.
It's just working for them. So that plus Agatha All Along is a show that I think that I like, but if I use X-Men 97 and I use Deadpool and Wolverine, that is a bang up year. And the trailers that I saw in Hall H, forget about the Robert Downey Jr. announcement for 1 second. Think about what we saw from Brave New World. Think about what we saw from the Thunderbolts. Those movies looked great. And what we saw from Fantastic Four looked great. It looks like they have a clear vision on it. I think they're in a little bit of a renaissance. I can't give them an A, but I can give them the
renaissance.
I do.
Right.
I
That's
do.
A,
I
bro.
think
Even
they're-
from-
I think they're
man.
Even from
I
me,
think they're
bro.
in a little bit of a renaissance.
I
I
think-
can't give them an A.
I don't think-
can
I don't
give
think
them
a B
the
plus is a
strongest
bad
B plus
grade.
ever.
But all right, so here's my issues with this year, where to me, Deadpool and Wolverine obviously a success, even if not critically, commercially, definitely.
Critically too, though. Like you might have not liked it, but most of the critics that I didn't mean to step on you. Go ahead.
No. I more so mean the reason I think Marvel is still in trouble is that A, you inherited Deadpool. You already inherited a very successful franchise. So their job, and they succeeded on this, don't fuck it up. And once they put Wolverine and Hugh Jackman, it was going to be very, very hard for them to fuck it up. And honestly, they exceeded my expectations just in terms of like what that movie did. So I have to give them that. Same thing with X-Men 97. Even if I didn't like the series, it connected with a certain segment of the fan base and like they loved it. Now, I don't know if this year proved to me that Marvel has righted the ship, because it's not hard to get people to give a fuck about Deadpool and Wolverine. I think it's going to be really hard to get them to care about Thunderbolts and Captain America, Brave New World. I like those trailers. I'm liking what I'm seeing, but I don't know if Marvel has regained that quality that they had in their early years to get people in the seats for those heroes that are not the legendary. Like the reason they're having to go back to convince people, you know what I'm saying? Even with the third Spider-Man, they're having to go back and bring in a Tobey Maguire or bring in these other actors and give you the member berries just to get people to want to see something like a Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness. And I'm like, I need to see that they can pull off Brave New World. And like, I need to see that they can make Thunderbolts happen. Like, and they haven't been able to really like get that excitement for those movies yet.
But do you understand though that I get that, and that's a completely fair criticism. But do you understand that you're not basing it on what they've done. You're basing it on what you think they should do.
So
because okay, but you didn't like X-Men 97, which is another thing that probably taints that changes it a little bit. But what you're saying is true. As far as the long-term health of Marvel, I could see that being. But as far as what they did this year, like they were successful.
Yeah. So here's the thing. My grade isn't that far off from yours. My grade is like a B-.
But you're talking about what you need to. I feel.
But like to get. But
Yeah.
here's the thing. The reason I feel like both of us aren't going to give Marvel an A is because we know what a championship year is for Marvel. We know when they're at the center of culture, when every movie or like even every other movie is firing on all cylinders, critically, commercially, everything. They are the zeitgeist. I don't think they're probably ever going to get there again. But I feel like if you have Fantastic Four coming out, a Blade movie should not be that hard to do. Like, it's like there are certain things, like we haven't even talked about the Blade part of it yet, where I'm like, y'all are fucking up a Blade movie? Like, you can't even get like a 90 million Blade movie, right? That's...
Well, I mean...
You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm just like, that's a layup.
Yeah, well, I mean, there have been Blade movies that have been fucked up in the past, right?
One.
Yeah, right. The other two were fucking the bee's knees.
Yeah.
But do you know how much money the original Blade made domestic?
Let's find out.
Like, look it up. And
There's
so,
no way to-
I'm not, by the way, this is not in any way saying-
Domestic?
Yeah, domestic. How much?
131 million.
No, I'm talking about domestic.
Oh, sorry, it's total.
Yeah.
$70
million. So, like, and so that's not me saying that Blade wasn't a hit. And it was a different time in comic book movie going and all of that stuff like that.
58 on Rotten Tomatoes. Jesus.
Like it's a different time. Like what I'm saying is to execute Blade in the way they want, I think they're being precious with Blade. I think they need to
don't need to be precious with Blade.
And let it rip. But I think they're being precious with Blade because if this Blade were to come out and be a movie, you have to quadruple that. So I think the cultural relevance of the character is there, But I think they're being precious with Blade because they're trying to massage what the audience of a Blade movie is. Because as big of a deal as Blade has been, and go look at the sequel and tell me what the sequel made.
Oh, for box office?
Look at
Just
the
domestic?
just domestic and then worldwide, doing both because it's 131 worldwide for the
First one.
for the first one.
70 million domestic.
Tell me what it made domestic. I think they're trying to create an MCU audience for a movie that they're not sure really has one, and I think that they're pump faking on it a little bit. But if they were, to your point, if they were in a stronger creative situation, I don't think they would be doing that.
82 million domestic and 155
But
worldwide.
Not the gigantic, massive hits that you guys thought that
Blade
people
2.
didn't think that they were.
But like we said, different time. Also, I feel like those movies, just because of DVDs, streaming, whatever,
all of that
has a bigger audience. And to me, I'm just like, is Marvel capable of making a Blade movie that's not their quippy, cute type shit? Like, part of me for a Blade movie is I'm like, you guys can do a horror, kung fu, gritty, down to earth. Every movie does not have to.
I feel like Blade was kind of quippy a little bit, like at least for
Oh, yeah.
the early 2000s, right?
No. There was goofy parts of Blade, but I'm just like, Blade was fucking up people in a nightclub and it was raining blood and shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like, do they have enough courage to be like, our Blade movie does not have to behave and look like the rest of our movies. We can take a little bit of a risk. The same thing that James Gunn, if you go back and watch the first Guardians looks a little bit different than everything that had come before.
Certainly.
For sure.
You know what I'm saying? Like, how hard is it to find like a black director or writer to be like, hey, we're going to make a really dope Blade movie. We've seen John Wick. This is like, I'm like, make a fucking John Wick movie. It's not that fucking hard.
Yeah.
Like,
I'm kind of with Charles with like, it's hard to ride where the MCU is versus where it might go, because I feel like this is actually a bit more of a pivot point than a proof of concept for a renaissance. Because if they come out with all of these things that are going to be coming out after this, and all of those things at least marginally hit, I think then we could probably say that Marvel's in a much, much better place. But if it doesn't, if Brave New World doesn't work, it'll make money. But if it doesn't work, if Thunderbolts doesn't work, they're going to wind it back and shoot for what Deadpool and Wolverine did. They'll play the hits because we know Robert Downey Jr. is coming. We know that there's going to be something bigger that
I guess my thing is, what did you think about what you saw from those movies? Is what I'm asking you, because we've, like, unlike Superman, which we haven't seen anything, I saw stuff from those movies.
Footage.
Yeah,
I didn't see strength this year from what I saw on the screen. You know what I'm saying? I saw even, all right, Deadpool and Wolverine. Obviously, I didn't like that movie as much as maybe like the hyper comic book fans. What I saw in Deadpool and Wolverine was a movie that was reaching back to the past to get people excited. They didn't do anything new, which is like the Marvel movies used to be able to introduce you not just to the superheroes, but to like side characters that you're like, fuck, I like this character. Where it's like for Deadpool and Wolverine, they didn't do anything new. It was just like a bunch of retreads of shit we've gotten. Same thing with X-Men 97. I think X-Men 97 was far superior to Deadpool and Wolverine, but they're iterating on something that was already successful.
Yeah.
Where it's like, what have they done this year? Like Agatha, we haven't seen it yet. Can they prove to me that Agatha feels just as vital maybe as something like WandaVision?
Mm-hmm.
Can they make me care about a character that I don't give a fuck about?
And that's some real skill to get to pull off.
You know what I mean?
If they can make an Agatha show count and work, like, okay,
I'm not
maybe
saying
you do
that's
have
asking
it.
for a lot, but I mean, you know,
then
there's
why
a lot of
greenlight
dip
it
on the
though?
chip.
But I mean, what
I
I'm
don't
saying
disagree
is,
with you. I don't disagree with
I'll
you,
be
but-
honest with you, like, even when they do it, it just doesn't matter as much as how they handle the characters that you guys like. Because did everybody like Werewolf by Night?
Yes.
Yeah.
I didn't watch that shit.
Okay.
You need to see that. That's
everybody
fucking
like Werewolf
incredible.
by Night?
Yeah.
When's the last time we talked about it? So when we talk about what Marvel has done right and what Marvel has gotten right, Werewolf by Night was really fun. It was really great. It was like amazing, right? The new characters that they introduce. Okay, so they've introduced you to new characters, right? So you got Vision in Ultron. You don't really care about Vision, right? You got Spider-Man, new character in the MCU, but at the same time, all you have to do is walk in a straight line to play Spider-Man right, to get Spider-Man right.
All right, so I'll put it, are you salivating for a Shang-Chi 2? Like, I'm not. Like, I'm like...
Well, I wasn't salivating for a Doctor Strange 2. Like, so when I like the Doctor Strange movie, right? But I think for me is and this is the disconnect between what we're saying, because I'm not disagreeing with you. The disconnect between what we're saying is that for me, none of this can be new. Like I'm so well initiated with all of these characters that none of it can be new. I just want to see how they do it, right? So it's like with Doctor Strange, yeah, they introduced Doctor Strange was new for a lot of people and they got Doctor Strange right, but I was just interested in seeing what a Doctor Strange movie would look like. When they said they were going to do Guardians, I was like, oh my God, what a choice. I was just interested in seeing what it looked like because I was with all those people. So that's not as important to me, but the ability to take a character that not a lot of people cared about and weave a really impressive narrative around that character is something that they used to do better than what they do now.
I think the reason they do it better, they used to do it better then, is because superheroes weren't the juggernaut they are today, right? You see the movie, you go out, you're like, oh man, who's this character? Like, for example, Iron Man come out. Iron Man was like a D-list character initially.
See, don't fuck over him like that.
He was.
True, though.
He's a C-list character. D.
Sure.
You put
C-list.
that nigga down there with Puck. You know what I'm saying? You say Iron Man in Alpha Flight? Man,
Iron Man was close.
Shout out. Nah, y'all hate.
You know I give a fuck about no Iron Man, bro.
Okay, he was a C-list character, but like, y'all putting this nigga with Shatterstar and the rest of the motherfuckers, Richter. Richter.
That's crazy, man.
Kerm like Richter.
Watch out for the Richter show.
Y'all putting him like he was a C-lister, man. He was the leader of the fucking Avengers.
Yeah, but then then you have this. I mean, you said Renaissance earlier for the future, but like this era where superheroes are the most popular thing. People are going out buying comic books. People are like getting into the stuff. Now it's like, okay, cool. I know which I know so and so. It's harder to like capture I mean, we talked about earlier, Mr. Terrific, you don't move the needle like that. You aren't rushing out to buy Mr. Terrific comic books, right? Trying to do that in this era is tough. I feel like it's tougher now than it was back then. Back then, we didn't know a lot of these people. We know a lot of this stuff. It's like, this is new. It's interesting. It's not new anymore, right? This is film. This is the zeitgeist. This is culture now. And so now you have to like dig really deep, and that becomes hard for anybody.
And okay, to that point, do you guys think that the delivering on something new is harder when people want a lot of the characters that they've been with for a while? Do you think the track is easier now that Marvel or superheroes are more well established? Or do you think it's harder because they're going to, now when you introduce a Shang-Chi, they're going to compare him to Black Panther. Now when you introduce the Eternals, they're going to compare him to the Guardians of the Galaxy. Now when you
I've said this, it's hard to like continuously innovate. Like when you change the paradigm, like even like once, twice, 3 times, like how often are they supposed to like, all right, we got to flip the page, we got to do something new. That becomes tough for anybody, you know? Like you guys cover The Bear, right? Like they spend a lot of time, it's like, oh, we got to do something new every day. That takes a toll. You know what I'm saying? Superhero movies at this point in our lives in 2024 are the thing. If you're asking them to like every phase, all right, we got to change it up, we got to do something new, this and this. That's a lot to ask of people. And if it don't work, you go back to the old stuff. That's what they're doing.
Yeah.
They've done a lot of creatively cowardly things, in my opinion, where it's like, we can't even get an MCU movie now. That's just, all right, for example, like the new Captain America movie. That motherfucker got Captain America in it. It got the new Falcon. It got Red Hulk. It got the Serpent Society. You know, it's like tying into Eternal. Like these movies just can't be a Captain America movie anymore. It has to be like, oh, not only are we tying this to a bunch of stuff, but we're throwing other characters because we don't believe in this character.
I don't think that's true.
Every single Ant-Man, motherfuckers threw everything at that. Doctor Strange, a lot of these movies, they have to throw 1,000 heroes. They're basically like, not Avengers movies, but they're one rung below. And I'm like,
I don't know.
It would be difficult to put Sam in a movie right now where he wasn't surrounded with anyone else. He's been in it for a long time.
Yeah.
Ant-Man, you can tell a story about his origin with the whole thing. You're almost continuing the Captain America story, and you're asking him to put the event. He's just going to be around superheroes.
But it's a whole. It's basically at this point, it's a whole. And I get why you would do that, but it's like, all right, if you wanted to make a Hulk movie, make a Hulk movie. Don't make a Captain America, because it seems like they're trying to have it both ways, where they're like, well, Captain America is a successful trilogy. We want to do a 4th one. We have Sam, but they're also like, are people going to go see a Sam Wilson Captain America movie? They're probably not sure. So they're like, how can we do something?
They did that with Civil War, though. They put all the Avengers in Civil War.
Yeah, but here's the thing. Civil War is still a Captain America story. Like,
it is.
It sure
you know what I'm
is.
saying? He's at the
Sure
center
is.
of it.
Yeah.
When you think of the Red Hulk and you think of
Oh,
the
I
leader,
think that's unfair. I don't disagree because I really feel like everybody's cooking today. I don't disagree with what you're like. I like we came back refreshed. I don't disagree with what you're saying.
we haven't been
Well
bullshitting
rested.
this episode, which I'm very
yeah. I don't disagree with what you're saying, but I think Red Hulk okay, let me ask you before I make do you feel like they're hiding Sam Wilson in his own movie? Is that what you're saying?
a little bit. Yeah, I think they've been doing this a lot. Same thing with Doctor Strange too, where it's like the multiverse of madness. They had to get us there with the multiverse. They had to get us there with the member berries of like, well, Professor X is in this, and look, oh, Mr. Fantastic is in this, blah blah blah. Because I don't know if they believe in this second tier of
Scarlet Witch,
characters
yeah.
as much as they. I don't know if they believed in that, but it was a different era. And sometimes I'm just like, yo, stand by those characters. I'm like, make a Doctor Strange movie, make a Captain America movie, or don't make them. Just make the version that you want. At this point, I'm like, if you wanted a Red Hulk movie, just make the Hulk movie. Like, just do that. Don't give me kind of this like hybrid version where you have to go back and do a bunch of reshoots because they probably were like, what is this movie about?
Maybe. I think the universe is too big after Endgame to not have these characters cross over more. Because remember, after the first Avengers movie, you have Iron Man 3, you have Captain America, Winter Soldier, and you kind of like, cool, these are movies, but like, hey, why didn't Cap call up his homies, right? Like, where's Tony? I'm sure Tony could have helped him or which, this and this and whatever. After Endgame, all these characters come together and they're supposed to be like, all right, we just say the word together, but like, I got this thing going on. I'm gonna just, you got
Also,
it.
we're hyper aware that,
Well,
like, well, you coming in, Paul Rudd, is actually going to cost like $80 million. So
Tony Stark is in Spider-Man. They actually made a fake trailer. They made a fake trailer where Spider-Man is swinging and Iron Man is flying. Like, I mean, you know what I'm saying?
here's the
It's like
thing.
the world
Iron
is so
Man-
big now. Like the world is so big now. It's like you have to almost, and it's a really interesting conversation to me. I don't want to beat it over. I don't want to belabor it, but like you have to it's not introducing Spider-Man to moviegoers as much as it was introducing Spider-Man to the MCU.
But there
And
were
you start-
story elements in the comic books.
But
There
yeah,
was
but we don't know. But we don't know whether or not there's story elements. We don't know whether. I mean, Comfortable Ross is the president. We don't know. We don't know the story
Oh,
elements.
no, here's
yet.
the thing. This isn't me being down on Captain America.
Sure.
I like the trailers.
Mhm.
It's more so I just am getting to the point where it's like Namor in Wakanda Forever makes sense because I'm just like, oh, Namor and Black Panther, there's history there in the comics. They're pulling from something. Where it's like with a lot of the new movies, I get why a business standpoint they're doing it. But sometimes, perfect example, the RDJ Doctor Doom shit, where I'm just like, Doctor Doom is a good enough character where it's like, I don't know if you need the added cherry on top of being like, oh, well, we don't actually believe that we can pull off Doctor Doom unless we get RDJ back. And I'm like, old Marvel, I still feel like old MCU had this feeling of, we're going to make you care for these characters and we don't have to like put 5,000 of them on screen because we're afraid that no one's going to show up for this movie.
yeah.
The RDJ thing is actually interesting because I think it was yesterday it came out and he was like, he talked to Feige and Bob Iger or something. And I think, I mean, y'all heard me on the podcast when he announced it. I was literally slurping and gurgling. It was crazy. But I've like kind of cooled on it. But I mean, I love RDJ and I'm like happy he's back on. So like, I'm going to be optimistic about it. But I think the thing that helps me is that every time they talk about it, they're like, he's playing Victor Von Doom. Now, I don't know how, I think that's true, right? We'll see what happens when Doomsday comes out.
They've lied before.
Right? But so far, it's not like, if they were like, well, he's playing this, like it seems like he's just going to be a guy just playing, God, this guy's this dude playing another dude. He's going to be playing Victor Von Doom. I think that could work. RDJ's one, it could, right? It's going to be different.
RDJ's Iron Man. I don't give a fuck what nobody says.
I mean, like-
RDJ is Iron Man. When he comes on the screen in an MCU movie,
Iron Man.
That's
I'm like
Iron
that.
Man.
I'm like, you Iron Man, bro.
But what they could do something different.
That's
My-
like Christopher Reeve playing Batman. I'm like,
What
you
if
Superman,
he comes out and he's got like the penguin makeup on? You don't even know that's him. You know what I mean? Like there are ways
This
that
is
it could
Cap.
work.
Come
It-
on.
It could. I'm choosing to be
obviously-
optimistic about it. But
Obviously, it'll all be in the execution. Everything is all in the
Yeah.
execution.
Yeah.
I think that decision, because there are arguments to be made on either side of this. I could argue that that the minute the Avengers came out, a lot of other Marvel movies were team ups that had like a bunch of different people.
Yeah,
in them,
this
right?
isn't new.
Right.
Yeah.
It's not so that is different though. That probably speaks more directly to what you're talking about. in terms of them. Deadpool coming into the MCU, you were gonna have to do something, blah, blah, blah. They came up with a way to hook us in and get us. I get it. I really, 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 really am interested in seeing what the Robert Downey Jr. Dr. Doom thing is. Once again, I said it before. I don't have that much of an issue with it. It just depends on what they do.
Yeah.
But they almost have to execute it flawlessly.
It's going to be so hard to not see Iron Man on that screen.
We'll see how good he is.
It's
all right.
Did y'all see the Sympathizer?
Ben, B+,
crickets.
B-, Mint Boys. Before we go to Game of Thrones,
I'm going to give it a B because we, loved X-Men 97. At least 3 of us on this table did. And I think Deadpool Wolverine, despite all the problems we had with it, was one of the biggest movies of the summer, probably the biggest movie of the year. But there's just not a ton of output, so I can't sit there and be like, they killed it. I'm gonna give them a B. Solid year, but needed more.
Yeah, B- for me. A couple of real good standout stuff. A lot of game left. Looking pretty good.
February.
All right, so let's wrap up with Game of Thrones, House of the Dragon Season 2. Critical success, but overall, the series lost some of the viewership compared to Season 1, and we haven't talked about it, but a Night of the Seven Kingdoms trailer dropped with the season finale of House of the Dragon Season 2 in early August. So Game of Thrones is in an interesting place right now. We already brought up Star Trek. Is Game of Thrones, are they in danger of this becoming like fantasy Star Trek? And that's not taking away from what Star Trek is, but it's like, I don't know if House of the Dragon Season 2 was the zeitgeist moment they probably wanted. Where I think it was way better to me than Season 1. I enjoyed it. But Game of Thrones to me used to be like appointment viewing. Everybody water coolers talking about it. And House of the Dragon, A Night of the Seven Kingdoms, and whatever they're doing, it seems like they might be doing the Star Trek model where it's just like we're giving everybody a Game of Thrones.
Oh, you mean Star Wars?
Flooding the zone.
No, I mean Star Trek in terms of just every generation gets their Star Trek.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? It's you might hate House of the Dragon and like A Night of the Seven Kingdoms and like this one or like that one.
Okay.
But to me, it's different. I thought with House of the Dragon, it was going to be more of a oh shit, we're running this for the next decade because Game of Thrones is so big. And now I'm like, oh, it's just kind of another nerd show now, which is fine.
I'm fascinated at where House of the Dragon and Game of Thrones can go because all of these other things that we've talked about are based on decades upon decades of either source material or cultural knowledge that people can at some point glom onto. For Game of Thrones and House of the Dragon and the world that George R.R. Martin made with this, it has not had the staying power, at least outside of his own books, until very recently. And that source material is already wearing thin. Like one book is not even yet to be finished. House of the Dragon is based on a cultural appendices that is almost halfway done if you were to read it via the books.
Yeah.
And that's kind of it. Then we have a handful of novels and a couple of other things. So the rest of this seems to be like a template, a skin that we can put in other shows to be like, oh, well, I want to tell a prison break story in the House of Thrones or in the Game of Thrones universe. I want to tell a Succession level story in the Game of Thrones universe. It's interesting to me because that is also a high ceiling for a lot of opportunities to tell interesting and unique stories, but also not a lot of cultural impact to where I'm like, oh, that character, that storyline, that type of thing that I can glom onto, that gets me excited. You kind of have to be in it for the world, and that's really it.
And I think the reason, and I think we might have talked about this, or maybe they talked about it on Talk of Thrones, the reason they keep going back instead of going forward is kind of what we were talking about earlier with the MCU and how they keep putting characters and all these things. Because if you go forward and you spend time with Jon and Arya or Sansa or whoever,
you know that.
You're like, okay, why isn't Jon and Arya talking? Why aren't Sansa and Arya talking? You just they gonna go across the narrow sea, you're not gonna exchange ravens? Like, what the hell's going on? So you kind of have to go back to this era where we're already halfway through the books, and you got to go back to Dunk and Egg, and there's not a ton of room there in the narrative for that, or for
at least
for new stuff.
prior knowledge of the narrative. You
Yeah,
can always
it's-
make up and
You
work
can always
with
make
whatever-
up, but
yeah.
then like, nobody's trying to do all that. Nobody's trying to like actually think. Steve, it's Hollywood. You know what I'm saying? You just got to take the stuff right off the page. You know what I mean? I just ultimately think that while I'm excited for season 3 of Hot D and whatever may come in that universe, I think with like also the stuff going on HBO and like it should have been 10 episodes, but it's 8. You know what I mean?
And the Warner Brothers losses of billions of dollars.
You know what I
at
mean?
hands of
Like,
TV. Like,
I'm excited to go where that universe goes, but also know there are other things that are keeping it from being what it should be, the spectacle it should be. We should have got the Battle of the Gullet this season. That should have been episode 9, and then we'd had episode 10, and we'd be sitting here having a different conversation. But we didn't. And while I like season 2, 8th episode's kind of like, all right, we're punting for another 2 years now. We have to come back in 2026 and have the conversation and do all that. Like, it's just kind of, I don't know. Like, it's part of me wishes we were like, had old TV again where we knew, hey man, we're getting 10 episodes and then next year, 2025, man, May, we'd be right back.
right back at
We'd
it.
be right back in it.
But it costs $1 trillion to do
It costs $1 trillion, all this, the politics, the money. Again, personally, I'm excited, but there's a realism that gets over me. It's like, well, it's not going to be what it should be, and that's because of other reasons that don't have to do with anything with the content. It's just like it's tough.
This is the worst possible time in my life to ask me this question.
Yeah.
You gotta chill.
He's
bro.
like
Your
7
entire
He's like
Twitter
70
is just
hours
like-
It's just like Robert Baratheon via YouTube.
I was literally in the bathroom. I was scrolling through Twitter. He's like, "Is Rhaegar the real hero of Game?" I'm like, "Get the
This
fuck out!"
is the worst possible time to ask me this question.
It's like, because there's never been a better time.
Because when you say that the stuff is wearing thin, you're probably right, but I don't think so. I think I was like calling people. I was like, "Yo, you think they could make like a Ballad of Trident movie?" I'm telling you right now, they could make a whole movie, bruh, a standalone movie, either on Max or to theaters about Robert's Rebellion, like a standalone movie.
Bobby B, the movie
about Rhaegar and Lyanna and all of them and Tywin Lannister and the young Jomi, because you can make a whole thing about that. Their stories, bruh,
Who would this be
Aegon,
for?
Aegon, I guarantee you that goes up. But hold on. I'm telling you right now. To me, the biggest television show that they could make, or a reason why it was appointment television, is the Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
Because
Who's gonna sit on the Iron
Who's gonna sit on the
Throne?
Iron Throne? That's like the biggest TV show you could have, right? So many characters, so much dysfunction. So the biggest movie to me is the love story between Rhaegar and Lyanna. Is that how you say it? Lyanna Stark, and what it cost everyone. Like it's stuff like that. Some of the lore, some of the deep stuff in there. He was trying to, for those that are uninitiated, Rhaegar was behind the scenes trying to work with the other houses to get the Mad King out. At the same time, he had married the Martell girl from Dorne.
Sure.
And they're setting up all of this stuff. They have the tournament in Harrenhal. He gives her the thing. They run away for a year to fuck in a tower
You are
and have
too
a baby.
deep into this shit,
But Baratheon is in love with her, doesn't fucking know that she's in love with somebody else. He getting the Warhammer together. That is a fantastic story. And I'll tell you something else. There are other stories in Game of Thrones. Dude, I'm fucking crazy about Game of Thrones.
Aren't they doing a
Clearly.
TV show about fucking Aegon and his sister wives? Like,
So I'm saying,
in the realm.
so I'm saying
the beginning of Fire and Blood.
bruh, you could do the conquest. There's so many other things that you could do. This is what I'm saying. I'm saying that to me, to the points that have been made. Number one, nothing is going to be appointment viewing that they can make like
That rivals Game of Thrones.
Game of Thrones.
That'll never happen again.
It just never, like, so they came back and they made the Many Saints of Newark, which
Oh man,
no one cares.
nobody.
I like that bitch. But
It wasn't bad. It wasn't.
It's not The
It wasn't
Sopranos,
great.
though.
I like
It's
that bitch.
not. It's so
You-
not the.
So I thought that the Many Saints of Newark, because during the time, this is in the streaming wars, right? Everybody's getting their IP together, and they're like, we got The Sopranos, so let's do this. Let's reboot Tony, make everybody younger, and now let's watch Tony's rise. It could be fucking fantastic. It's just not going to be what the old show was. It can't.
Right.
Yeah, but I think HBO wanted season 2 of House of the Dragon to grow exponentially.
I'm sure
So then why cripple it with taking away 2 episodes?
It's them chasing that brass ring that I just see on the screen at all times. It's good. Don't get me wrong. House of the Dragon season 2 was way better than I could have ever anticipated. But to me, it's the fact that we keep drawing on these things that are still frameworks. I bet you all of the YouTube stories that you would watched are based on lore and a couple of books. Rather than
there's stories that are coming from the books.
I know, but it's the fact that all of those things are gaps that are filled in by these shows and writers and creatives that do amazing work. But once we're starting to get to the point where we're talking about the fifth other dude, the Dunk and Egg stories that have a couple of novellas and then might possibly be spoiling how House of the Dragon ends. I feel we're getting too intermingled at the idea.
Are we getting too cute?
Is there possibly the only book I've ever read is Fire and Blood, and I'll be honest with you, I have trouble remembering it. But I'm just not good with reading.
Next week, we're doing the 10 Game of Thrones YouTubes ranked by there.
But it's not
but I'll tell you.
Ready.
But I'll tell you straight up. To me, there's a lot of story there. I think it depends on the way you grade it. If I'm grading it right now, I think this was an incredibly successful season of House of the Dragon.
For sure.
Viewership-wise, maybe they shrank from the first season. Maybe they were hoping to grow. They made some mistakes. But this was great, amazing television to me that wasn't
Is it an A- or a B+?
It's an A- for me.
A-.
The way I feel about Game of Thrones right now, nigga, this could be an A+++. I'm all in. Okay? I know dragons' names I shouldn't know. I watched a whole video about the life of Vhagar. A whole video about Vhagar and his life. It's pretty long.
How long was it?
I can't remember, but it was pretty long.
What happened to the Star Wars deep dive videos?
I got several different lores going at the same time.
Right.
Clocked.
Before I watched the Vhagar video, I watched a whole video about nature in Star Wars.
Right.
About the trees and the flora and the fauna.
See, now, you think you have hyperfixations? Not like Van Lathan.
I just, bruh. And you know what it is? It's not me. It's the fucking YouTube.
Okay.
I'm it's YouTube's fault.
A craftsman never blames his tools.
Right, it's YouTube's fault. We trying to move the shit, the fucking floor is leaking, and all of a sudden, I'm
just sad.
And I'm hearing, and then he hath swooped down on Syraxes, and all I see is Kalika.
Christ.
The house is on fire.
What are you doing?
The house is on fire, and you're watching.
Anyway, but I get what you guys are saying. I know that HBO needs a tentpole show. They do. They and if they thought that they were going to make another Game of Thrones, they were wrong from the beginning.
Yeah.
They were gonna. It's every single time they do this, they can come back to it, but it's gonna be a little bit of the returns are gonna diminish just a little bit because people are gonna be comparing it to the same feeling that they had with the first show, and it's just a different story.
Yeah.
I think I'm gonna give it a B+. Last thing I'll say on Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
Do you think there is a world where they were just like, you know what, guys? We're gonna do the last season over.
I literally had the same thought. If he finishes the book and it's even a little different than how that season ended, I bet you that somebody's gonna think about remaking the last season.
They just did a movie, or they're just like, you know what?
I bet you they'll think about it.
Let me tell you something. That's the type of shit I like.
That's fucking insane.
If right now, if I was at Disney, and I floated this to some people too, I'd be like, just pretend like those 3 movies y'all made. Just do it. We could do Luke and the Yuuzhan Vong.
Sure.
Like just pretend like y'all didn't.
So that's my question. Star Wars. Why aren't they just like, you know what? We just gonna recast Mark Hamill. It's gonna be a young Luke. He's gonna
get the yellow jacket on.
And I'm like, yeah, just and they laugh, but I'm like, I'm serious. I know.
This is actually, I'm just like, isn't this kind of the next thing probably for like a Game of Thrones?
I feel like we're through the looking glass at that point. If we remade them, they'll never do that. But I bet you
don't think they would ever be like, we're gonna do a movie where we're just gonna like.
Kit Harington came out and was like, we were tired by the end of like seasons.
Oh my god, those
8.
behind the scenes videos still crack me up.
Those
they're
guys
just like disheveled at the table.
They don't want to be there.
They're so done.
Now, like if you throw a check, that could change everything.
Well, I mean, now they out there trying to live.
Yeah, right.
Now Jean Grey didn't work. Now Black Knight didn't work.
Listen,
now,
there's 80 people. By the way, there's 80 people in that cast. So
like
wait,
now
wait,
it's different. The one lady that shot him with the arrow, she did a fucking witch movie with Vin Diesel. Didn't work.
Wait.
So
we gotta like, if you really think about it, who from Game of Thrones, outside of maybe Khal Drogo, got motion?
Pedro Pascal.
Pascal got motion.
Yeah, but he was out.
He was out of there.
That don't really count.
Yeah,
because he wasn't one of them niggas.
Out of the main cast.
Out of the main cast.
What's Khal Drogo one of them niggas like that though?
Sean,
really though.
I would say Sean Bean, but that was just season 1.
Season 1, like any like the people who were like there for like a good amount of time. Like I mean, Charles Dance was like always like
they actually did a video episode of this on Trial by Content of who had the best post Game of Thrones career.
I mean, they're all doing straight,
doing fine,
but
none of them blew up.
I mean, because think about it. The Mother of Dragons left,
Emilia Clarke,
and she was fucking Sarah Connor. It's not popping. No. I mean, I'm just being honest.
It might be.
That's the call like it'll never happen. I'm like,
the call.
They might make a couple calls and be like, "Hey, yo, we doing a 2-part movie." Like,
select the
that's
chick.
So crazy.
I think for me, I'm gonna give it. You know what? I'm gonna give it a B plus. A B plus. I think for me, the reason it's not an A is because the streaming wars have me so like distraught, and I hate everything about it. It's ruined television. It's basically ruined films, honestly. And so like we're at a point in media where if things like we talked about it with Star Wars, if it's not hitting, it costs all this money, are we canceling it? You know, Netflix shows they get 2 seasons and they're out of here. They don't want to pay for 10 episodes of House of the Dragon. I feel like if it had that like runway, it's an A. I'm excited, let's go. But because of how just tight everybody is to cash right now and how things are getting scaled down, despite the fact that like we really want to see this stuff, got to give it a B plus.
Telling you guys, Robert's Rebellion movie, I swear to God, bruh, is begging to be made.
Write it.
Like I can't even remember 5 of the names. I can't write stuff like that. Robert's Rebellion movie, begging to be made. Big battles, love story, young Stark, Dorne, fucking all kinds of different.
And the best part is we've already seen the ending.
We
already know how it ends.
Nobody give a fuck about that shit, bro.
You wrong.
When Big Bobby B come out,
bro, think about it. Took the Warhammer and hit him in the chest. The rubies fucking flew everywhere. And Rhaegar's last words, Yana. She was up there giving birth, little Jon Snow. Oh, the prince was promised. Everybody, y'all niggas don't know. You know what? Fuck it.
Now you sound like our comment section.
I'm gonna make my own shows. I'm gonna do my black niggas Star Trek movie.
Can we get?
I'm gonna do
that
movie.
Van a fan fiction account.
I'm gonna do that movie.
Start writing shit,
and then I'm gonna do the Robert's Rebellion movie. I'm gonna do all the movies I like. I don't. You know what? Fuck it.
What about you, Steve?
It's a B. It's a B for me.
All right. What a fun episode.
Real fun.
Charles' idea, by the way. That's a wrap. Next week, Midnight Boys return. Also next week, House of R gives you their Rings of Power preview. You're not gonna want to miss it. Our producers are Steve, the architect Ahlman, Aleya, O'Brien, Zenieris, Jonathan, Chocolate Birthday Boy, Kermah, Jomi Adeniran on social. Hashtag the Imaginarian of Jomi Adeniran. Is that what we're doing?
I didn't quite. That was last time's. I didn't quite have one. I didn't get one on the fly.
Tough.
It is tough. What did I want to bring up? There was something I wanted to bring up regarding.
Oh no, I already know it's gonna be bad.
What did I want? Oh, how did the soccer team do?
Oh yeah.
Oh, very important.
Okay, we're gonna get into it. Okay, so at Spotify, you know, we have like this like soccer team. We go out and we're in a league. And the first week we played the champions of last year.
Don't just tell niggas the score.
We lost 12-0.
12-0.
12-0.
12-0 is tough.
12-0?
I want to be very clear. None of us,
bro. in soccer.
That's actually incredible.
Bro, we had a lot of fun. It was a good
Y'all
time.
weren't
playing no
you
defense?
Bro, no, bro, that's a 2000 Ravens NFL score. like, that's a Ravens championship team.
Who on this team? Who on the starting lineup?
From like the Ringer people, Isaiah was there, Gahal, Jack, and I. Right, we're the Ringer folks on the team. It's filled with other Spotify folks. Really great people. But yeah, we lost 12-0 last week. This week, we had a game on Monday. We tied 1-1. Yeah!
That is a drastic improvement.
Hell yeah.
I'll take it.
We're getting there.
Who scored?
One of the Spotify guys, I can't remember his name, but he's like honestly our best player. Like
really?
he's really good.
Yeah. Carl Cherry.
What? We got a lot of fun. It's fun. It's great. We're having a grand old time.
12 nil.
12 nil was tough.
That's crazy,
But those guys,
bro.
man, bro, you got to watch it, bro. It was like, bro, what are you supposed to do out here, man? It was tough.
Kicking the ball, y'all out there. That's crazy.
You're the LeBron pointing. It's like, it's
We're
over
like, bro,
there.
what are we supposed to do, man? No, it was fun.
Hashtag Jomi Ronaldo.
No.
Joey Ronaldo didn't.
No.
Steve, take us out.
Steve,
Steve, take us out.
what?
Steve, take us
take us
out.
out.
Steve's doing it.
Why am I doing it?
Steve, take us out.
Steve, take us
I said the
out.
wrong name. Charles, take us out.
I was like, what?
I apologize.
It's over.
I apologize.
It's done. Don't bring it up. Don't bring it up.
Shout out to our soccer team. They're still alive. And if you catch Van at home, he's probably watching one of those dumbass Game of Thrones deep dives.
Did anybody have those report cards where it was like a plus, a dot, or a dash? Like when you were in like grade school or something? Was it ever like that?
Hey, man, I don't know what school you
What type of good ass schools you went to?
I don't know. It's like they didn't want to give you grades, so they gave you like these weird symbols that are just like great, meh, or bad. Like you're just giving it like a meh.
No, that's
Well,
actually,
what type of shit?
I don't know what the fuck
That's
you're
why
talking
people
about.
They did at my school
Clearly.
when we were like in kindergarten. They didn't want to give us grades. So it was just like either a
Ah,
plus for
hell
good.
no. in kindergarten where I'm from, he got an F. Like, no, hell no. Bruh, there was one dude, I'm not going to say his name, that failed kindergarten. There was one guy that failed kindergarten.
Tough.
And it's either kindergarten or first grade that he failed. And I remember we never let him live it down for the rest of the time. We were literally
Aw.
in the 11th grade and we were all partying. It's like, you're a year older than him. I was like, and we'd be like, yeah, he failed the first grade.
That's so mean.
That's
Like,
so
failed
mean.
first
That's
grade.
so sick.
Is that crazy?
Was he?
Yeah,
wait,
that's so
I'd be
mean.
like, ain't that
Oh,
crazy?
come
What
on,
kind of-
man.
what
That's
kind-
so.
Hey, man, what kind of dumbass?
See,
nigga-
maybe okay.
this
So maybe
nigga-
there's a little merit in.
Wait,
Alright,
did y'all have
that's
that
so
shit in school
cruel.
where you where everybody had to read out loud? Were you the type of motherfucker be like, hey, yo, him?
I never did it. I mean, like my whole thing, I actually be the one like, hey, stop laughing at him. I'm gonna get on your ass. But if we get to the 11th grade and we can look back on you failing the first, it's kind of funny, bro.
Okay, sure, but like
I don't know.
If it's
man.
the
That's a
whole
different-
I
time.
feel some type of way,
Right, he was
bro.
on a
Yeah, that
basketball
would be-
team, and sometimes he'll do something. I'd be like, yeah, nigga, you're a year older. We supposed to have that move. You failed the first grade.
That's a
Oh, yeah.
1980s, 1990s mean high school
Wait,
shit,
well,
bro.
you can't guard me. Yes, you're older than me. Remember, you failed the first grade. So you should be
You're
getting
acting like
20
a
in
year
game.
older is 10 years older.
That matters in high school.
I will
basketball.
say,
Okay,
It
sure.
definitely
in
does.
middle
Yeah,
school,
yeah,
there was a homie
yeah.
who was like 14 in like 7th grade or some shit.
Just
and we was
Hey, you play a flag football,
Yeah,
he
we
just
all-
like, he's like, give me the ball right here.
I did look at him like, I'm like, all right, man. Because he be trying to like school us.
know,
I'm like, come on, bro.
It's funny because because like somebody will be busting ass and you'll hear from the stands. How old is that?
He got a mustache already, bro.
He
He's like,
can't be in the same. I know that baby. That baby too old.
It's like it's practice. Why is he sitting there?